The storm that's caused all this damage is what you call a bomb cyclone.
And Chris mentioned this yesterday, Matt, that there's some misinformation out there about what that exactly means. So we're bringing in Matt today to talk about the incredible damage that we saw in western Washington.
And it gets your attention. I think that's the kind of the main thing is when you say, hey, what's going on with the bomb cyclone? Right? Everybody's ears kind of perk up a little bit. So let's explain what it is, what it isn't, exactly what it means. It may sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo jargon, but regardless of that, these storms, when they show up, they mean serious business. So let's explain, and let's start with, well, what seems obvious, but may not be, and that is a cyclone is just another name for a storm. Now, cyclones, defined area of low pressure. Sometimes we call them a low. We're very used to seeing those big L's on the weather map. And if you watch this long enough, you know that means there's going to be active weather when those come along. So a storm is a low, which is also a cyclone. All right, we got that part down. The next one, the one that's more interesting, the bomb part. That means a storm is seeing a large drop in pressure. It was weather slang. Now it's become weather language. When that pressure drops, the winds strengthen because those winds, they're flowing in towards the lowest pressure. They're trying to balance things out. So when a storm is bombing, it means that storm is getting extremely strong, extremely fast. And that's what this is. It is a rapidly intensifying storm. This happened on Tuesday, right off of the Washington and Oregon coast. You can see the satellite image here. This storm strengthened extremely quickly. It reached a low pressure of what we use in measurements called millibars, 942 millibars, about 300 miles off the Washington coast. Now, for some comparison, that pressure level is only 4 millibars higher than Hurricane Helene was earlier this year. Now, hurricanes are much different compared to your average cyclone, but they are also cyclones, types of cyclones nonetheless. And this storm measured as intense and had a similar impact to a hurricane. As the storm intensified, winds picking up around it, gusts from 50 to 70 miles an hour. They began to funnel through those gaps in the Cascade Mountains from east to west and all the way down into the Puget Sound area where all this damage was recorded. Severe east winds are not as common as winds from the south or from the west in this area, and this likely led to more destruction since trees and objects that might be sheltered or maybe more resilient from winds in those typical directions, they were not going to be able to hold up in these types of conditions with that wind coming from a different way. Now, it's also worth noting severe winds from this storm also were impacting eastern Oregon to as far north as Walla Walla, where they saw 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's also fairly ironic that on this past Sunday, we passed the 9th anniversary of the 2015 windstorm here in the inland Northwest. Had similar wind speeds and similar destructions that our neighbors are seeing there on the other sides of the mountains. Thousands still remain without power tonight, and it is going to take a long time for the lights to come back on.